And welcome back to live AMA with Akki. As always, let me just check if I can see myself online. Yes, on Facebook I am online. Very good. Let me just check if and LinkedIn also says that we are live. Okay, very good. So क्या करने वाले हैं हम आज? What we're going to do today is I will help you understand what conflict is and how conflicts can help us find logical answers to questions we've been trying to solve, right? So basis my experience with this topic, so in the past I've conducted a few workshops, and there were few questions that were asked. So I've kind of curated, I've kind of plugged in those questions in today's EMA, and a very dear friend has sent across a few questions uh, for us. So I will try answering all those questions. Yeah. So ready to master the art of resolving conflicts. वैसे टाइटल मैंने दिया है मास्टरिंग द आर्ट ऑफ रिजॉल्विंग कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स. Let me tell you, we have been dealing with conflicts since our childhood and we are a master at it. But वो क्या हो जाता है कि as we grow, as we evolve in life, um, we face a lot of situations, a lot of experiences that kind of puts us on the back seat. So कोई नहीं, we'll try to get ourselves back on track and focus on resolving conflicts in the most logical way. Yeah. Now conflict का नाम सुनते हैं so there's a lot of negativity associated with conflict, right? What we don't understand is conflicts are bound to happen when there are more than two people involved, and there's nothing wrong in it. Yeah, it is perfectly fine to have disagreements between colleagues, between peers, your friends, your supervisor, your family, and most importantly, we also forget that we have conflicts with our own self. भाई आपका दिमाग बोल रहा है कि बोलो, लेकिन दिल बोल रहा है मत बोलो. कभी कभी दिमाग बोलता है अरे रुक 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 भाई मत बोल, लेकिन दिल बोलता है कि यार बोल दो. That is a conflict, right? What we have to understand, as I mentioned, I'm going to repeat this throughout this talk today, is conflicts help us find logical answers to questions we've been trying to answer or solve, right? So let's take an example here. Um, Now let's say that you are a product manager and you're working with the marketing team to market this product. And everyone involved in the room has their own perspectives, they have their own views on how to market the product, and everyone knows that there's no right or wrong way, right? And things can be solved amicably. But what happens is everyone in the room, not this doesn't happen always, but at times everyone in the room wants to show their upmanship. Mera point is better. Try this. This is how the product will be marketed, and we'll be able to get the customers. When the upmanship game begins, conflict moves towards toxicity. This is where conflict moves towards toxicity. और वो होना ही है. Because if you're trying to prove that you are the most knowledgeable person in the room, obviously others will not like it. And when people don't like it, there will be disagreements. Some may respond to it, some may not. And what happens? Everyone forgets about the product, everyone forgets about the customer, and gets busy improving themselves, right? But my friends, that's not how we solve conflicts, right? So, as I mentioned at the start of this talk, is I have created a few questions. So let me help you leverage conflicts. Let me help you leverage emotional intelligence, emotional resilience, emotional quotient, जो भी आपको बोलना है वो, how you can leverage that while resolving conflicts. And of course, I will also share some simple techniques to help you manage your conflicts tactfully. Yeah. So one of the questions, the first question that I'm going to be addressing is was one of the most commonly asked question during the workshops. So the question was: during meetings, my colleague cuts me off when talking. It impacts my flow of thoughts, and I am unable to share my views. How do I deal with such people? And my answer is going to be the same. The first thing I do is I always ask the person. So in this case also, uh, if you are listening to this talk, how often, and if you face this situation, how often does your colleague cut you off when talking? If it's just a one-off case, then you may choose to ignore it. But if your colleague has been consistently cutting you off during every meeting, then boss, you need to take a stand and address the behavior, right? Behavior. You see how I'm stressing on that word behavior? Because we have to address the behavior and not the person. Now, in most of the cases, what happens is we take it personally, quite naturally. We try and address the person. कि तू ऐसा कैसे बोल सकता है या बोल सकती है? Why are you not letting me speak? So when you are addressing the person, that is when the other person will also take personally things personally. And when people start taking things personally, disagreements तो होंगे ही boss, right? And then you'll talk about something else. That person will talk about something else, and you'll forget about the meetings. This has happened, right? So focus only on correcting the behavior. So how do you correct the behavior? You correct the behavior by talking to this person privately and explaining the person that when you are talking, the other person should allow you to speak because that impacts your flow of thought, and you may lose out on the opportunity, or the team may lose out on the opportunity if you don't speak. It's not that you have the only you are the only one with solution, but you may have something that will help the team or the department move forward on a particular issue. So when you're sharing, you need to be given that space to share your thoughts, and also tell the person that if in the future the person cuts you off, you will in the meeting politely ask the person to allow you to speak. So let's assume ki you've spoken to this person has understood it, but the person's behavior takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of time to bring about a change in the behavior. So the person, out of the usual habit or practice, may cut you off. What you need to do at that point in time is just take a pause, and remind the person, ask the person to maybe wait and allow you to speak, and then the person can give his or her views on your suggestions. Right? So I think that is the way to resolve this. Because what you need to remember is that you are only focusing on correcting the behavior. You're correcting your behavior also by talking and requesting the person to let you speak. And you're also focusing on helping the other person become conscious of his or her behavior. Right? So we need to become conscious of the objective of resolving the conflict. Objective is to help you speak. Objective is to help the team move forward. So when you know what the objective is, we become conscious of our actions and we focus on implementing those actions. So the next time anyone cuts you during meetings, take a pause and focus on speaking. That's it. करना तो आपको ही है, right? The second question. The second question also deals with meetings, right? The question is, during meetings, I have valid points to speak, but I am unable to speak. I know and I agree that in meeting one should speak at least once and create visibility. But sometimes I'm unable to speak. Maybe there's a lot of fear of being wrong, or at times I'm just not able to put forward my points. What should I do? So this is also a common problem that most of us face. I used to face this problem back in my days, and it's perfectly fine, right? What happens is, before the meeting, you know the agenda of the meeting, you know why you're meeting. Practice speaking, or practice speaking in front of the mirror. Make a note of your points and speak. We live in an era where we have meetings almost every hour, right? तो दिन में 4-5 meetings तो होंगे ही. Make it a point to share your views during at least one of the meetings during the day. इससे क्या होगा कि gradually you will get into the habit of sharing your views. So the first question dealt with where you were excited with respect to sharing your views, but somebody else was kind of cutting you off. And the second one is that you are feeling nervous to share your views, right? And this happens because right from the childhood, there have been people who've told us that you're good for nothing, boss. मेरे को तुम में कोई स्पार्क नहीं दिख रहा है. There is no spark in you. No, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता, boss. We start judging ourselves. That person has said, may have said something in the past. The person has forgotten about it, but we've not. Fair enough, we've not forgotten about it. But holding on to those points and punishing ourselves by not speaking is also not correct. Right? बोलना तो हर एक का right होता है. It is our birthright to speak. So during meetings, if you have to speak, बिना डरे बात करो. और अगर बात नहीं कर पाए तो don't get into that guilt. What you could do instead is, once the meeting is done, you had views you did not share. Fair enough. Right? Come back. Just close your eyes and understand your reason why you didn't feel like sharing your views. Sometimes you may realize that your views perhaps were not relevant for the meeting. Okay? Or you'll realize that, okay, I had some valid points which someone else also made. So in that case, I think you should give yourself a pat on the back saying that, okay, your points were perfect. There's nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong in the points. What you needed was a slight push. So in the next meeting, make it a point to give at least one suggestion, one view. And gradually, as you get comfortable, you can increase the frequency. Or wo hoga. I'm speaking from my own experience. Yeah. So practice in front of the mirror, whatever that you may want to say, and go ahead and share your views. And then after that, you could also always review your own performance during meetings. It helps. Sometimes it also helps to discuss it with your supervisor or your mentor or your colleagues, right? Someone who is your well-wisher. It helps. But believe me, once you get into the habit of sharing your views, you will enjoy the process. Yeah, try doing it. करके देखो. And when you do it, please message me. Please share your experience. Right? Moving on to the next question, which is, okay, now my manager has high hopes or expectations from me. What should I do? Right? Now, this is one question that is pertaining to our conflict with our own self. Right? Manager has expectations from you, na baba. ठीक है? What is your expectation from yourself? That is what matters. Your manager or your supervisor or whoever that person is will always have some expectations or the other. What matters is what is your perspective about yourself? How confident are you about your expertise? How confident are you about your subject matter? And that's what matters, right? It is quite natural for us to feel overwhelmed when someone says, I expect XYZ things from you, right? This reminds me of that film Three Idiots, where the character, not Fung Suk Wangnu, I think the third friend, uh, played by Sharman Joshi, says that अगर बचपन से ही हमें सिखाया जाता है, राइट, वही होता है कि अगर तुम स्टैंडर्ड 10th में इतने परसेंटेज लाओगे तो मैं तुमको इतना दूंगा, लेकिन तुमको इतना लाना ही है. We get so attached to the expectations put on us by our parents, our teachers, friends, colleagues, supervisors, that we forget who we are. So just shake yourself up. What you need to do is just shake yourself up. Remind yourself of your whole purpose of being in this field. Remind yourself your strength. What is your strength? What strengths are you bringing to the table? And that's what matters, my friend. तुम्हारे सुपरवाइजर को तुम सुपरमैन लगते होंगे, लगने दो. तुमको लगता है तुम सुपरमैन हो तो बनो सुपरमैन. तुमको लगता है तुम बैटमैन हो या whoever हो, तुम वो बनो. Just be who you are, right? Just focus on your expertise, focus on your objective for being in that company, your objective for being in that role, and focus on your expertise, and that's all you need to do. Don't get too attached to the expectations of your supervisors. Not worth it. भूल जाओ. हाँ हाँ बोलने का करना वही है, because if you focus on your strengths, if you focus on your core objective for being in that organization, you will surpass expectation not only of your supervisor but of the entire organization. Yeah. All you need to do is wake yourself up, shake yourself up, remind yourself of your strengths and your entire objective or purpose of being in that role. That's it. तुम्हारे ही हाथ में है बॉस. Everything is in your hands. Okay, so the next is, even if my manager knows the status of my work, he acts like he's not updated about my work in front of his supervisor. And my manager plays safer games to save his life. Very common situation, boss. I was lucky that I was in an organization where something like this wasn't happening, but I have spoken to people who've gone through this, and I can imagine the plight of people who go through this. Now, one thing that you need to understand again is your focus always has to be on your work and your expertise, right? Supervisor knows what needs to be done. Now, I'm not sure about what the culture or process is in your organization, but one thing that you could do is keeping your supervisor in the loop by sharing your plans and task updates or project updates over an email. Feel free to CC the supervisor on that. Start doing this. इससे क्या होगा कि your supervisor will also know that he cannot fake it in front of his or her supervisor. And if the supervisor asks, why did you CC my supervisor on it? You can say that it was just to keep everyone updated on what's happening, because he's the super boss. The super boss also needs to know what is happening. In any case, we have joint review meetings, right? So I just thought this is the best way. And believe me, that is the best way to do. Now, initially, you may hesitate to do that, but try doing that. Because what matters is that you need to take charge of your role. You need to take charge of your life. Your manager is not going to do that. right? No matter how successful you are in your role, no matter how nice your supervisor is not going to take charge of your role. सुपरवाइजर अगर अच्छा है तो सुपरवाइजर आपको हेल्प करेगा, अगर सुपरवाइजर शकुनी है तो बॉस आपको पता है क्या होगा, right? So in this case your supervisor obviously is doing this because the supervisor may be insecure, may be scared of his or her supervisor, right? So what matters is that you need to take complete charge of your role, you need to take complete charge of your life, and ensure that not just your supervisor but even the supervisor, the super boss, is also kept in the loop with respect to your task or project updates. ये करोगे आपका काम हो जाएगा, ट्राई करके देखो, राइट? इट वर्क्स. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा, तो सुपरवाइजर विल से कि बॉस स्टॉप सीसिंग मी ऑन द मेल्स, टू मेनी मेल्स इन माय इनबॉक्स. कोई बात नहीं, कंटिन्यू मेलिंग योर सुपरवाइजर, राइट? And when you are meeting with the super boss, you could share your screen during the meetings saying that this is what was said. That is the way to solve this problem. I hope I have tried to answer your question with the best of my ability. Right? Try doing it. Okay, so the next question is again about people taking credit, right? So my team member tries to bypass me and takes the credit for my work. My manager too bypasses me and sometimes and gets the credit of the work done by me or my team. ये भी बहुत चलता है यार, ये गेम्स तो चलेंगे ही. Because people want to focus on, what do they want to focus on? People want to focus on being the best. I did it. Again, my solution is going to be the same. You have to be vocal about your achievements. You have to be vocal about your task updates and project updates, because if you don't do it, nobody else will do it. फिर तो यही होगा, right? So in this case, आपको अपने डर के साथ आगे लेके जाना पड़ेगा. I never ask people to get rid of their fear. No, I ask people to go ahead with their fear. तो अगर आपको डर है कि अगर आपने मुंह खोला तो लोग क्या बोलेंगे, तो लोगों को तो बोलने दो ना बॉस. वैसे भी लोग आपका क्रेडिट लेके बोल ही रहे. So you might as well share your task updates, your project updates, or your achievements, or your team's achievements over an email. It's a simple email that is sent to the entire team by CCing the supervisors saying that, guys, I am proud to say that our progress on XYZ project has been ABCD, and I would like to thank my colleagues to help me and my team members move forward on this. Believe me, the more vocal you become about your achievements, people will not only appreciate it, people will look forward to working with you, because you're not only appreciating your efforts, you're also appreciating efforts of the people around you. So thank you करने के लिए thank you मत बोलो. Be genuine about appreciating your colleagues, about appreciating your supervisors, and move forward. email पे है, proof है, you have taken charge of your life, you've taken charge of your project, you've taken charge of your career. Move ahead. सबको बता दो. Yeah. Try doing it, my friend. Try doing it. Okay. Okay. So the next question is also similar. My manager doesn't create visibility of my work in front of my, other people. Since he's my boss, I can't avoid him. Now, it is not your manager's or supervisor's responsibility to create your visibility, boss. As I said earlier, it is your responsibility to create your own visibility. So you will have to be vocal about your achievements. I'm repeating it because question thoda similar hai. So you will have to become confident, take baby steps. हर चीज को आपको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है. 10 चीज में से 3 चीजें, 3 things of those 10 things, put it on an email, thank people, appreciate people for their help, appreciate them for the support they've given you, and move forward. You will have to make yourself visible, right? Because if you don't, nobody else would. So the solution is that you will have to take charge. आपको ही वो बताना है. Like right from the childhood, we've been told that you're not supposed to speak about your achievements. Yeah, blowing your own trumpet, wumpet जो बोलते हैं ना. See, there's a difference between blowing your own trumpet and telling people about your achievements. You are making it sound as if it was a team effort. This is what you did, this is what your colleagues did, this is what your supervisor did, and it was a team effort. You try to show it this way, people will appreciate it, people will help you, and again, people will look forward to working with you. Yeah, it is your responsibility to drive your career, it is your responsibility to make your work and make yourself visible. नहीं बोलोगे तो नहीं होगा. If you want visibility, then you will have to push yourself to make yourself visible and share your views, share your updates, and share your achievements with people. Nothing wrong in it. Go ahead. Right? All right. So moving to the next question, which is whenever I raise concerns, it falls on deaf ears. What steps should I take to get people to not only listen to my views, but also allow me to implement those changes? Right. So now my question is, when you raise issues, when you raise these issues, what are the thoughts that are crossing your mind? Do you feel underconfident while you're raising those issues, or are you sharing those thoughts with a lot of aggression? It is extremely important to understand your thoughts and your objective behind sharing those points or raising those flags. Right? My ex-boss would often tell me that she told me that I always need to think about what's in it for the other person. When I'm sharing something, what's in it for that other person? So what's in it for me? So when you're sharing it with people, what's in it for them? What, how will making those changes or making improvements help them or the team move forward? So what you could do is the next time you're raising any concerns, just create a business case study, a proper case study on the challenges that you and the team are facing and how it is impacting not just the team but the overall organization and the customers. And by recommending improvements, this is how we will be able to overcome the problem, and this is how it will help you help the entire team move forward on the overall organizational or departmental goals. Right? So if you want to raise flags and if you want to work on those tasks and if you want people to listen to you, first thing is you need to work on your own thoughts and objectives behind raising those flags and ensure that you're also talking about benefits the other person will get once you resolve these issues. That's all you need to do. As simple as that. Right? And now we come to the most important question that I'd spoken about, which was how can I leverage emotional intelligence in resolving conflicts? Very good. तो पहले डिफाइन करते हैं कि बॉस इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस क्या है. In simple words, emotional intelligence is knowing yourself inside out, knowing your thoughts, knowing your emotions, and giving yourself the permission to express your thoughts and express your emotions. Emotional intelligence is also having a decent understanding of the emotions of the people around you. Right? So when you have a good understanding of yourself and you have a good understanding of the emotions of the people around you, you are expressing yourself, you start becoming empathetic not just towards yourself but towards the other people as well. And this is what empathy is what helps you in resolving conflicts. Empathy के साथ आता है listening. When you start becoming empathetic, you are willing to listen, right? And listening से ही बहुत सारी चीजें solve हो जाती है. And listening मतलब सुनने के लिए नहीं सुनना है. You have to listen actively, right? So all you need to remember while resolving conflicts, irrespective of who the other person is, you need to remember that you're dealing with human beings, and that all of us are equal regardless of our capabilities, our status, our designations. We are all equal. We are humans and we are equal. Designation को बाजू में छोड़ो, right? So emotional intelligence is nothing but understanding your own emotions. What is it that you're feeling at that point of time when you're facing that conflict? If you're feeling extremely angry, right? So emotional intelligence will also help you to manage your emotions. And when I say manage, so if you're feeling extremely angry, extremely vicious about a particular thing, emotional intelligence will help you calm down. And you may decide not to have that discussion on that day. You may decide not to send the mail on that day. You will choose to sleep over it. And the next day, when you feel better, that is when you will decide to address it to the other person. Because by then you would have had a decent understanding of your thoughts and emotions. You would have realized what was it that was troubling you about that particular issue or that person, and you will discuss it by understanding the emotions, by being conscious of the emotions of the other person, listen to the other person, and resolve the conflict. That's it. That is what, that is how you leverage emotional intelligence. रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है. खुद को समझना इतना टफ नहीं है, दूसरों को समझना भी इतना टफ नहीं है. When we start realizing that the other person is a human being and we all are equal, shift happens here, right? Do that. And now coming to some simple techniques. Yeah? So what are the cause of disagreements or misunderstanding, disputes at home or work? These simple techniques that I'm going to talk about will help you resolve conflicts. Right? The first thing when you're trying to solve a conflict is to arrive at a common objective. So let's go back to our example of the marketing the product that you're trying to sell to the customers. So the common objective is to sell the product to the customer. वो कॉमन ऑब्जेक्टिव है नहीं, वो कॉमन ऑब्जेक्टिव नहीं. कॉमन ऑब्जेक्टिव इज टू मेक योर कस्टमर्स लाइफ easy, right? So your marketing message has to be around the fact that you are trying to make the customer's life happy. इससे क्या होगा, एक बार कॉमन ऑब्जेक्टिव आपका बन गया है, इससे ये होगा, you will start filtering out unwanted suggestions and recommendations. You will thank people, but you will say, boss, people will also realize that if this is the common objective, then these suggestions may not work, right? That's the first thing. Arrive at a common goal. Second, as I said, empathy or active listening is what will help you. Listen to what the other person is trying to say and listen actively with complete focus, complete dedication, without having any judgments about the other person, without thinking, yaar, ye chalega, nahi chalega. Active listening will help you understand the point. That's the second one. Third is speak. You need to speak up. You need to share your views. Again, by being confident. Share it. Go ahead. ये करना जरूरी है. Fourth step would be where you would negotiate. Negotiate का meaning है कि if there are multiple suggestions, right? Multiple suggestions, multiple recommendations, you may choose to come up with just top 3 or top 4 or top 5, whatever that may be. As a group, you will arrive at that. Whether this discussion is between 2 people or multiple people, the same process. And the last is next steps. You will arrive at next steps with responsibilities and names against each of those next steps so that you are able to achieve your final goal. So by following all these steps, of course, you don't have to be mechanical about it. It's very simple. The first thing, if you arrive at the common goal, even if it is an argument at home, right, between spouses, between partners, You need to think about what is the common goal that we're trying to solve. And when you try to arrive at that common goal, you have won more than half of the battle. More than half of the battle. Believe me. Hota hai wo. And then listen, speak, negotiate, and arrive at next steps. That's it. Right? Very simple, yeah. Actually, बहुत simple है. Common goals, common goal पे achieve करो and move ahead. Right? All right. Now, this was also a question that was asked during one of the workshops. I have added it here. How can I create a culture of open communication and transparency? Now, as a leader, what you need to do is the first thing you need to do is encourage your people to fail, encourage your people to be fine with failing, be fine with making mistakes, accepting those mistakes, learning from those mistakes, and putting those learnings into practice. That's the first thing. Second is encourage your people to speak without hesitation, without any fear of being judged. And most importantly, recognize efforts of people who've spoken. This sends out a very strong message, and people look forward to speak. People look forward to share their views. Right? That's how you create an open a culture of open communication and transparency. Third is as a leader, you need to start accepting your own faults and mistakes and share the learnings with your people. इससे भी ओपन कम्युनिकेशन एंड ट्रांसपेरेंसी बनी रहती है. And most importantly, as a leader, you need to be open to receiving feedback and giving feedback. And also encourage your people to be fine with receiving feedback and giving feedback, of course. And the last is as a leader, you need to be there for your people. Just be there, always. Because if you as a leader are present, then your people have no reason for not being there. So everything begins with you, right? Everything begins with you. हम लोग ना क्या करते हैं? There's a lot of, we use a lot of buzzwords, we follow a lot of trends. Oh, this is what is happening, that is what is happening. Life को बहुत complicate करके रखा है हम लोगों ने. Buzzwords use करके, buzz phrases use करके, trends use करके, analysis करेंगे, ये करेंगे. Boss, we're dealing with people. So if you want to have a culture of open communication and transparency, let that come from you. You start being open and transparent with your people. Encourage that. थोड़ा वो ट्रेंड्स और एनालिसिस को साइड में रखो, वो करते रहो, but focus on that softer aspect. We've forgotten about the softer aspects in life. Yeah? We need to get that back. Yeah? So these were the questions that I had. And before I sign off, I would want to leave you with 7 key messages that you need to remember as and when you need to manage conflicts. The first thing that you need to remember is that you're not correcting the person, but you're correcting the behavior. So it's not a personal attack. You are helping the person become conscious of his or her behavior. Yeah. Second thing that you need to remember is conflict always gives us another chance. It gives us another chance to look at things in a different perspective. Third, and the most important thing, is that you don't have to be a leader to bring about changes. Right? Leader without a title, too, is a leader. So, regardless of what your title is, don't get stuck in that title. Believe in your capabilities. Take charge of your life, take charge of your career, and just go ahead. If you're wanting to put your points across, if you want people to listen to you, practice, bring in that confidence, practice in front of the mirror, and take baby steps. Start sharing your views in 1 or 2 meetings during the week, and then gradually increase the frequency. Fifth, you need to remember is that you're dealing with humans, and all of us are equal. irrespective of our designations. Follow the techniques that I have mentioned, which is the first thing is obviously that emotional intelligence, bring in that awareness, um, arrive at a common goal. Why are you trying to solve this particular problem? Why are you trying to resolve this conflict? What is the common goal that you guys are trying to achieve? Second is listen, speak, negotiate, and finally arrive at next steps. Right? And last message is be open to receiving feedback and giving feedback. Giving feedback is very easy, but maybe you have to be conscious that you're not hurting the other person. You're not making it personal. You're just focusing on bringing about a change in the behavior. You're helping the person become conscious about the behavioral changes. That's about it. और कुछ नहीं करना है. Yeah. So remember, conflicts are not negative. Conflicts allow us to look at things from a different perspective, arrive at a common goal. You're sorted. You are sorted. Yeah. So yeah, with that, we've come to the end of this live AMA. I hope I was able to answer most of the questions through the questions that I had curated and questions that my friend had sent. All right, let's see if there are any questions for me. I don't think so. No. Anyways, so if you have any questions, any further questions, feel free to write to me on akshaym@samakshwellness.com, or you can message me on 97698 69902. Or you could always follow me on Facebook, send me a DM on Facebook or LinkedIn. And if you've liked the techniques that I've mentioned, try practicing those and do share your experiences with me. Yeah. Remember, conflicts are not negative. Conflicts are there to help us move forward in life. Conflicts are there to make us stronger. And we are only focusing on correcting our behavior. We're only focusing on correcting the behavior of the other person. We're not correcting the behavior of the other person. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make the other person conscious of his or her behavior. We're focusing on correcting our behaviors. Yes. Yeah. Okay, then. I shall see you. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you soon. Bye bye.